Okay, it's Wednesday, August 24th at the end of trading. Going to do a SPY recap here. This is the daily chart. We're going to go over what happened today, what's developing in the bigger picture, what to look for tomorrow, and possibly in the weeks ahead. So you can see today we ended up with a bar that did test the lows of the previous day, but then came up a little bit and closed a little bit green. We didn't get a 2-up bar. So we are sort of, if you really look at the 15-minute chart now and expand it out after this initial drop on Monday, all we're really doing at the moment is going sideways here. So we can continue sideways, maybe probe a little bit, near these highs and then eventually continue down by the end of the week. Or we could break out of this little zone here that I'm highlighting and start up again. And if we get a 2-up day tomorrow and we take out this stop, we could be heading, back towards the open of Monday, which would then turn the weekly chart up. And I've discussed, again, if you kind of go back and follow the videos all week, we had a shooter bar here on the weekly chart. We were going to likely at least probe lower this week. And I discussed how we'll probably get, high probability after Monday, where we went down really big, that we were going to probably take out these lows. But there was always the possibility that you would come down this week, fail to take out that bar, reverse higher, and then that could set up some strong buying either at the end of this week or into next week. So we're not there yet. We're still a red weekly bar. We're still nowhere near the open of that bar. Turning up to even consider, we certainly haven't taken out the midpoint of the prior week. So everything's still down, and all this really is still, in my opinion, is a pause after Monday moving down, and then 2 days trying to go lower, but not really following through and kind of just holding. So the green doesn't mean much to me, and it turns out, I did go over yesterday how this looked like a momentum shooter bar that should continue lower, but this is the final part here. So now when you have that momentum bar and you are expecting the possibility to really head lower and take out these targets on the weekly chart over here, what you have to do, and this is why I go over this and I've made many videos, you have to go to your opening price action, as always, to see what kind of day might be developing. And when you look at today, the pre-market action kind of had a little range low here and a high up here. I shot a pre-open video discussing how we were going to look at that range. And what happened? The opening bar probed a little lower, but then closed up green. We paused for 2 bars and started up. And then we generally had an up morning. So this was the type of thing where we didn't have a chance, price action-wise, to go short and therefore fulfill that momentum shooter bar. So if you wanted to, buy the close or sell, the close yesterday thinking, oh, it has to go down, well, that's what could happen on the opening price action. You see that today wasn't going to be that kind of a day. Now, tomorrow very well might be that day. We're going to watch the overnight aftermarket action here, some of the overnight action, see what develops tomorrow. As of now, I still am looking at this as just 2 pause days in the downtrend. Weekly chart still down, still targeting these areas. But again, as we go to Thursday and Friday, now we're running out of time in the week. So let's see what happens. And especially if we break to the upside tomorrow, all of a sudden that puts much more, probability that this week might be holding in here, reversing, and then setting a 2-up week into next week. But tomorrow's a big day in terms of, I think as the week starts to come to an end, what might be developing. And especially if we're going to go lower after, 1 day down and 2 pauses, you should start down the next day. It really could have happened today after that bar, but it just didn't. So anyway, that was that. And then in terms of taking advantage of it, if you look at my video today on Meta, Facebook, I use this exact type of pattern here when I saw the open, on Facebook also take out the lows, but then start up again, and it failed to reverse at its key, pre-market high. I bought calls immediately in here and had a great trade to make an outside day. Now, the SPY did not itself, it almost was a 2-down failure, reached the midpoint. It should have, worked up towards the high of yesterday for an outside bar to the upside. It didn't do that. So that's another sign there's a little weakness here. Again, the SPY is much more, it contains many more stocks than just any individual stock. So, the oils were, strong and the technology was weak and blah, blah. So you put it all together, and the SPY as a whole, or the 500 stocks, didn't want to, create an outside bar to the upside when it had a chance to do so. So that might be a sign of impending weakness, but it'll all be, what develops tomorrow. As of now, until, things change, I'm still holding the downward bias. We have 2 days to go in the week. Let's see if this was just 2 days of pauses and we head down there. We'll look at the open tomorrow. But I just wanted to show you that today, with opening price action, classic taking out the stops early here and then having a green bar and starting up early, this ended up being the low of the day. So, that's how you just have to watch structure each day and then put it, when everything aligns, if this would have been a red bar heading down, then it would have aligned perfectly with this momentum shooter heading down towards those weekly targets. So, that's when the real probability exists for a great trade. But in this case, it was a lot of good opportunities to kind of, just for the day anyway, get long. You kind of knew, you were targeting up here, and there was a great trade, in those morning hours on the long side for many stocks. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but that's a recap for today, Wednesday, August 24th.